Tonight on The Roast, the Silk Road is shut down and Tony Abbott might face jail time in Indonesia. But first, here is Mark Humphries with things that have happened that he is now going to talk about.
Federal Senate places are close to being finalised, and it looks like the Greens' WA Senator Scott Ludlam will miss out, losing out to Zhenya Wang from the Palmer United Party. Just when you thought there was already too much Wang in federal parliament. Labor's Louise Pratt also won in WA, just when you thought there were enough Pratts in federal parliament. The Liberals' Linda Reynolds also won, just when you thought there was enough. No, that's not going to work. And despite early indications that he might get a Senate spot, Wayne Dropulich from the Australian Sports Party also missed out in WA, meaning there's now no one to stop the government's inevitable crackdown on sport. I'm sorry, Australia, sport is cancelled and you'll have to watch a video in the art room. Don't worry though, Australia will soon have a new senator who'll fight the good fight, especially if it's a poo fight.
This is kangaroo poo. Yum yum.
And at an Australian Electoral Commission event in Brisbane, former rugby league star Glenn the Brick with Eyes Lazarus was moved to tears by the announcement that he will have a seat in the Senate. Cheer up, Brick with tears in your eyes. If it helps, upon hearing the news, many Australians were also moved to tears. Federal bureaucrats are in the process of changing how they spell the word program on official documents. Tony Abbott apparently prefers the British spelling of program with the extra ME. I know someone who'll be pleased to hear that. Hello, the Queen. Tony Abbott is defending your English. Yes, Your Majesty, I'll tell him no one gives a shit. While it might seem weak for the public service to kowtow to such petty demands, it's understandable when you consider the Liberal Party's election promise to cut 12,000 public service jobs. These sorts of issues could make or break bureaucrats' careers. Your word is program.
P-R-O-G-R-A-M.
You're fired.
M-E?
Very good, but we have to fire 12,000 of you, so you're still fired. NASA's Cassini spacecraft has found propylene, a chemical used to make household plastic containers, on Saturn's moon Titan. Regrettably, Titan was clearly labelled paper and cardboard only. That story was for all those people who keep asking, why don't you do more stories about the moon of Saturn? Michael Jackson's family have lost their court case against the promoters of Jackson's This Is It tour. It's the worst thing to happen to Jackson's children since they realised one of them was named Blanket. And new research suggests that more trees are needed to save koalas from extinction. My own research suggests that koalas could avoid extinction if Cadbury stopped filling them with irresistible caramel. I ate 5 koalas before midday. For The Roast, I'm Mark Humphries.
So that's how I got chocolate chlamydia. Thanks, Mark. Next up tonight, Tony Abbott has been criticised by Indonesian journalists for excluding them from his Tuesday morning press conference in Jakarta. The conference was restricted to Australian media only, which prompted a prominent Indonesian newspaper to ask,
what's the use for him coming all the way to Indonesia if he only gives a press conference to Australian journalists?
Because that's how Australian tourists do Indonesia. You only stay inside your resort, only talk to other Australians, and take in some culture by drinking bintang by the pool. Even more remarkable, though, was that Tony Abbott might have committed a criminal offence, with the head of Indonesia's Journalists Union explaining,
the press law in Indonesia says it's a crime to limit journalists to get access to information. The penalty for that is 2 years imprisonment.
So, Fugitive Abbott, it is lucky that Indonesia is such a distant and unimportant place that you'll never need to visit again. Plus, it's lucky that Australian journalists don't have the privilege of that sweeping Indonesian law, because they would play the trump card everywhere.
Hey, you.
Hey, what'd you think about, sweetie?
Yeah, what you thinking about, sweetie?
What?
I'm an Australian journalist. You have to tell me. It's the law.
All the same, it's not that surprising that Mr. Abbott might end up in a cell with Chappelle Corby and the Bali Nine, because it's basically an Australian tradition. If you're an Aussie who visits Indonesia, you're gonna break the law at some point, whether you intend to or not.
Just another thanks, mate. Hey, oh yeah, I got 6 for $10. Yeah, no, lovely. How are you? Oh.
But if Tony Abbott really didn't want to take questions from Indonesian journalists, there are other more subtle ways he could have gone about it than breaking Indonesian law. For instance, he could have had the person selecting who gets to ask the next question just never pointing at any Indonesians. Or he could have spoken really quickly in an Ocker accent and made himself completely unintelligible to the locals.
Thank you for the question. Well, me and Macopper Bang Bang had a yarn about this issue of the dodgy tinnies rocking up in Australia, and I said, she's sweet, mate. The deal's not fully ace for you, but it's better than a poke in the eye with a burnt stick. Next question.
And so, Mr. Abbott, maybe
Tom, if I could just interrupt you for a moment.
Why do you always choose mid-monologue to do these things?
I think we all owe The Roast an apology. If you recall, on Wednesday, someone on our show said this. I think we all owe our Prime Minister an apology. If you recall, on Monday, someone on our show said this. Hi, Foreign Minister Bishop. Yes, I was just wondering if you'd seen Tony? He hasn't come to pick up his mail yet. He's gone to Indonesia. Oh, well, that's a terrible idea. You did tell him it was a terrible idea, didn't you? What a handsome idiot. What a handsome genius. You see, on Monday, we didn't think Abbott could pull the Indonesia trip off.
Well, you didn't.
Then yesterday we apologised.
You apologised.
Because it seemed like he did a good job. Now we need to unapologise because we were so right. Tony Abbott went to Indonesia and he insulted the shit out of some reporters.
Well, Nick, that's very noble of you to admit you were right.
And sure, I know this all sounds pretty petty, but Tom, diplomacy is Latin for endlessly analysing petty moments. The world flips out over stupid things like when Paul Keating put his hand on the Queen's back, or when George Bush said OPEC instead of APEC, or when George Bush was elected president twice. So, Prime Minister Abbott, if you want to get away with excluding people from Indonesia, stay in Australia. We seem to like that here.
Thank you, Nick. Finally tonight, the Silk Road, a website known for its nefarious dealings in pretty much everything except silk, has been shut down. And the FBI has arrested William Albrecht, the alleged owner of the site. So while it's bad news for the Silk Road, it's good news for hard-working small business drug dealers who've long struggled to adapt to the industry's move to online retailing. Because let's face it, you can only diversify so much. Now, when the police raided and closed down the notorious anonymous online marketplace, they would have faced unique challenges because despite its name, Silk Road is not a street address.
What's the password?
And to think Ross Ulbricht would have gotten away with it had he just turned on private browsing. Now, aside from the Silk Road closure, the raid had other consequences for its alleged users. As part of the investigation into Silk Road, authorities said they seized 26,000 bitcoins worth $3.6 million US. An impressive achievement given bitcoins are an intangible form of currency that are traditionally only able to be obtained by headbutting a brick. In fact,
where are those bitcoins?
In here! Oh, baby. It's the mother lode!
so it's good news for all. The internet is safe once again. The question now is, without being able to use the internet, where will criminals go for their online dirty deeds?
In here, Tom.
What?
Hey.
Hi, what is this?
Oh, it's the internet. It's all still here, ticking along very nicely. The FBI might have shut down the most famous hidden website, but what they really need to worry about is all those hidden websites.
Okay, so criminals are still free to provide and perform illegal services down here?
Yes, just not on a glaringly obvious website that had its own Wikipedia page. But there is still plenty going on down here if you know how to get to it. Just over there, for example, you can buy cocaine in a dark recess of the internet, accessible only through back doors found on the FAQ section of any website about dolphins.
Oh, that's terrible.
I know, but that's the internet. Now, if you excuse me, I'm going to go and catch a profoundly explicit show just over there behind a seemingly innocent pop-up ad. Oh, and take care of my bitcoins.
What?
Oh, baby!
What's going on?
It's the mother lode!
Oh, God, I'm gonna have to share a cell with Tony Abbott. Good night. Oh.